to meet the customer expectations. I have to fill a lot more stuff into that. At the same time, I'm a CIO or I'm a VP of engineering. And I have another challenge. While one side I have a business challenge, another side I have a technology challenge. There are huge number of technology trends, keep on changing every day. We started with applications, we went to web, we went to the processes, we went through the cloud computing, and IoT, SOE, analytics. This is keep on changing again, POS systems. So what is the problem? So one side we have business expectations, another side we have technology challenges. The most important challenge everybody facing today is budget. Regardless of the technology challenge, I have to manage the budget. How do I manage the budget? How do I meet the customer expectations? This is the question every place. Either it's the retail industry, IT operations, or across the industry. This is the common question. Every year we have to go through this question, and we have to have an answer for that. And the expectation is that we have to meet a lot more technology needs. We have to bring new architecture. Big data is coming up, and IoT is coming up. I need to meet the big data requirement. I need to meet the IoT requirement also. So how can I meet the budget? So that's where we thought of, okay, why don't we have a fundamentally architecture pattern that is scalable beyond what today's need? It basically meets the tomorrow's demand. So why don't we have an architecture that basically scalable, not only meet today's demands, today's needs. When it's coming to the IoT or device integrations, we keep on investing time and money on rebuilding our systems, right, over the years. Instead of that, we should have a unique architecture, one architecture, which is scalable for today's technologies and also scalable for tomorrow's need. How do we put together the architecture? Of course, this is not a one salary. It's going to cover up for 20 years. Definitely not. None of the IT system, IT architecture will cover that. It keeps changing again. But it is scalable or not? That's what the question is. We took one thing as a base for us. Regardless of all the architectural approach, all the technology changes today, the one common thing across all the architectural model is the integration. Without integration, without data movement, across all different systems, new initiatives, architectures, nothing will function. So the integration is a backbone. How do we strengthen that? If we scale this up, tomorrow's architectural needs can be fulfilled with the same platform that we are building. And if it is a proven model, that's very well. So we can go with service-oriented architecture. Maybe we can keep extending that to meet various demands and architectural needs. So we came up with a reference architecture. As I said in the beginning, we came up with a reference architecture where we want to have a blueprint ready. And whatever level we know today, we know SOA, we know integration, we know ESBs. But there are demands on across all other areas like IoTs, big data initiatives, application integrations, chaos integration, machine integrations, machine device integrations, and mobility integrations. All different, different directions things are coming. Not only that, today there is no single business as a independent business. Business associated with another business, obviously. So. So the expansion of architecture needs, not only within the organization, it's beyond the organization. So how do we take that up? So we put together a reference model, which basically covers the fundamentals, the backbone of integration based on service-oriented architecture topologies. So we basically created layers, different layers. We decoupled that. We put in the different layers of components as services. And those services are available across the systems. And any systems that wants to make use of those services can consume the services and use that. At the same time, we also expanded that beyond integration. Because today, systems in the back end integrated with that doesn't give any business answers, right? So analytics playing a key role here. Earlier, it was business activity monitoring was one of the key tools were used to track down all the data flows happens in the backbone. But today, it's not just enough. Business need more values. It's not just a IT report. It need more values. So analytical can play a key role here. So we have accommodated analytical as a part of our whole architectural model. And we wanted to separate the rules, we wanted to separate the event processings, and we wanted to separate the business processes. So we have separated that, and that can be plug and play model. It can be, call the services, can be use other services, or it can be, isolated. Or if it doesn't require, we can just basically need not accommodate that. On top of that, we have the gateway layers. There are n number of systems are going to be connected, not just application. It's also from the devices that store in the store level. In the retail industry, it's a store level. There are a lot more devices are coming up. IoT space, there are a lot more devices are coming up. So we need to integrate with these devices. We need to integrate with applications that may be hosted inside, maybe hosted in the cloud, maybe hosted in the partner side. So we need to integrate with applications. And more important, nobody really seeing what is happening in the backbone. We don't really know what is happening in your backbone, right? We only see in the eyes. We give more importance to the eyes than the backbone, actually. So anything that you are seeing is what you are realizing. So that's where now UX is very important for us. We need to present it to the business, the way business understand that. The way business looking at the data that's flowing through the integrations. So we have to give importance to the UX layer for business to handle the situations on their own. They can go and search on their own. They can go and find out the services available. They can go and find out the analytical reports available. They can go and query themselves to find out the data available for a sales transactions, for a prediction of the product in the store or in the warehouse. So they want to do a lot more things on their own hands. So we need to give more flexibility to them. On the consumption layer, the channels are basically any device, internal, outside, or any application that wants to integrate with our core architecture platform that can connect through channel. The application consumers, operational dashboards, everything. So we put together the architecture first, and we started evaluating a single platform. Our goal was to look at a platform that can meet all different needs today, and also scalable to meet the tomorrow's need. So we started looking at various products available in the market from open source and the commercial products as well. And we landed up in comparing with what we can get from WSO2. So platform layer, of course, either cloud or on-premises, we have a tools, we have a product supported by WSO2, okay, fine. And from the services layers, we have different needs. ESB we have MQ, we have data services that decouple our data layers. So we have these integration layer. We have a different set of products. Processing layer, we have a different set of products. Processes related to the business separation of business rules, business processes. We have a separate one. And the complex event processing from the data analytic aspect. Complex event processing, the analytical servers. OK, good. So we have the analytical capability also that we can use it. And on top of that, we have a mobility, cloud gateway, and API management or user experience, whatever ways you want to do that. The last one is at the external level. Either it's operational report or business report, application or application consumption related activities, and related to the store level access. Finally, wrap all the things with a single process and policies, right? That is very important. We can create n number of services, but if you're not able to manage the life cycle of the services, you will be ended up in having ad hoc of services. That is very similar to going back to the old age, actually. So we need a governance and identity server to control and consume the services that are available across things. So we put together a lot more, platforms. So we identify, OK, let's start with WSO2, where we get what we want today. And I believe we will get what we want tomorrow also. The next stage is, OK, we have a blueprint, we have a product. But again, we need to come up with something, more reusable for us. We need to come up with something more accelerate our implementation cycle across different business requirements. So we put together a development framework on top of WSO2 based on our principles that we defined as part of our unified architecture. The development framework, we come up with a list of services that we identified as a reusable services across business different business needs. Either it's a SOA implementation, or it's a simple ESB integrations, or data analytics, or real-time predictions, or it is a mobile devices, IoT needs. The simple platform should help us to achieve our acceleration needs. So we put together a reusable services. We built a reusable services across some of the design patterns, based on the design patterns, on the common areas like exception handling, notifications, failovers, and how do we handle the transactions, messaging. And we also, this framework also helps our implementation team to follow the standards that we have defined here.